What is going on, everyone? Friday, finally. I hope the glare from my forehead won't be too bad. It seems like I have less hair today than normal, which is usually not a lot anyway, but seems more so today. All right, so today we're going to read a little bit about this woman named Irena Sendler, and she is responsible for helping 2,000, I guess the number is 2,000 Jewish children escape the Nazis. Now, we've talked about the Warsaw Ghetto before from the word list, and it's in Poland. Warsaw is the biggest city in Poland. Poland might have suffered the most during World War II. Hard to, Germany did as well, but it's hard to pin exactly who suffered most. But Poland's in the conversation. And so Irena Sendler is going to be a nun. So when you hear nun, I'm thinking probably most people would associate that term with the Christian religion. So she is going to be Christian, but she is going to be passionate about helping save the lives of Jewish children. I would like to think that I would also be one of those who help. And I'm sure most of you would think like, yeah, I would help as well. But we're going to hear two stories. One, Irena Sendler today, and then another from a pair of siblings, one named Sophie, one named Hans, who were Germans, but they were fairly young, late teens, early 20s, when they were doing their work for something called the White Rose, which was actively going against Hitler. And I don't want to spoil how it happened, how it turns out, but it doesn't turn out well for old Soph and Hans. But it took a tremendous amount of courage to stand up to what was going on in a lot of the world at this time, but specifically Germany. So I worry that I would be, if it wasn't affecting me a great deal, I probably would just go to work, try to do my job, take the easy way out, because there were real consequences for standing up against what was going on. And we all have hindsight now. We all can look back and see, oh yeah, it's gonna turn out this way. But I mean, it definitely risking your life for people you didn't know, for doing what was right, though. So I'm hoping I would, when I hear stories about like slavery and stuff like that, especially living in the North, as I might have been, and look, it's not really affecting me. I'm not sure if I would become a true abolitionist. I think most people are just, well, you know what, put the blinders on, just go about their life. But so I have like a tremendous amount of respect for the people we will be learning about today, because they did the right thing, even if it would or possibly could cost them their life. So I don't want to spoil too much, but so Hans and Sophie do get executed for their work with the White Rose. We'll watch a short video on that. But Irena Sendler is going to be spared. So even though things get pretty rough for her. All right, so let's take a look at the Google form really quickly. Just want to make sure there are no questions about this. It's always good to preview the questions, and I probably should do this more as we get to the end of the year. But keep these in mind as we're reading. We're not going to be able to finish it today, but how did Irena Sendler manage to get Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto? Excuse me, I don't have any water right now. I have this purple haze bang. So, hey, by the way, it says, I can't condone this right here. It says you got to be 18. I am over 18, but I would not say that you should be drinking this stuff. I try to limit myself to one a day. I know this is not about me. It's about Irena Sendler, but I was drinking like 2, sometimes 3 Monsters a day. They taste so good. So it's like, let me switch to, it's warm too, warm. And so I'm less likely to drink as much, but caffeine, yeah, not good for you too much. Hey, this is not, I don't know. Hey, but I have a doctor who's a friend of mine. He's not my doctor. He just happens to be a doctor who's a friend. And he said, Americans are drinking more caffeine than ever. even at a young age and stuff. I was like, is that a problem? He's like, oh, if you're having like one glass or, maybe one, this is maybe extreme. It's probably more like 2 cups of coffee, but he's like, some of that Starbucks stuff, you think it's like 1 cup, but in reality, when you look at the dosage, it's probably like 4 or 5. And he's worried about early onset Alzheimer's. He's like, that could be what he's been reading. Like that would be the thing that might, the long-term effects. So because the brain is so charged for so long, but the research is not, we just started drinking caffeine, right? Within the last couple of years, 10, 20 years, maybe. So it's hard to, why am I talking about this? But anyways, maybe I'm a little caffeinated this morning. I feel good though. I feel good. Hopefully you do too for this Friday. I don't know about you, but Friday nights, the worst for me. I'm out. 7 o'clock, I'm out. Long week, rough week. All right. And that's just a normal week. Next week, I need to get focused here. Maybe we won't even get to the article today because I'm rambling at 6 minutes. Next week, though, I have a feeling because our schedule is going to be all disrupted. And I don't know about you, but every time the schedule is a little disrupted, I get a little bit more tired, a little bit like, what the heck? So I don't know. Next week could be interesting. All right. So maybe we will just preview the questions today. Maybe not get to read Irena Sendler because we have 2 videos, one about her, which actually you might be able to answer some of these questions by watching the video without us even reading the article. That's not the point. Reading is better, but the article and the video do mirror each other quite a bit. They talk about a lot of the same things. So I'm not sure. Excuse me. That's the problem with drinking Bang is that you have to burp after. I'm not sure which came first, the video or the article, but they do seem to kind of go together quite a bit, which is why we're kind of watching it. I think it's good to watch. All right. And better than listening to me talk. By the way, I need to wrap this up, right? Pretty quickly. How did Irena Sendler manage to get Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto? What happened to the children after she smuggled them out? What happened to Irena Sendler when she was caught by the Nazis? More spoilers right there. How did Irena Sendler keep track of all of the children she helped rescue? I think I read that wrong. Keep track of the names of the children she rescued. And then, of course, last question, as usual, worth 3 points. Write a short summary of the article. So, as I say, take something from the beginning, the most important thing from the middle, most important thing from the end. You got your 3-sentence summary. Okay. Let's just take a look at the article. I got it here. I do want to talk about the author really quickly because there might be some significance here of where she lives. There it is. So if you take a look, there's a picture. These must be actresses. I don't know, but that could be Irena Sendler, and then this could be a Jewish mom who is, probably possibly saying goodbye to her child, because that's what happened a lot, probably every time, is that when Irena Sendler would do her best to rescue these children by any means necessary, kind of like smuggle. She was a child smuggler, but in a good way. I don't want to get into the article too much, but she would hide the children and they would get out of the ghetto. Okay. So one thing we should talk about though is the ghetto of Warsaw. So it was the largest ghetto. And when I say ghetto in World War II, that is a part of the city where people who were Jewish were forced to live. Okay. So there was a designated part of the city, Warsaw being the biggest city in Poland being the country that probably suffered the most. And so what happened was part of the city was, and it was a small part of the city, but it was like, okay, this is now the Jewish part of the city. So it was literally like segregation. People were separated. So they had to move into this part of the city. Cramped conditions. Do you think if a pipe broke, do you think there would be anybody fixing that pipe? So it didn't take long for this part of the city to quickly just go into shambles, right? A lot of people using the same bathroom or whatever, right? So, excuse me, in modern cities, you have ideally, like, let's take Auburn, the when you have waste, it just disappears, right? But when you are cramped, and the Nazis did this on purpose, people were cramped, the facilities were not great, people living in filth, you have typhus breaking out, which is why it was one of our words. We've talked a little bit about that, right? It's a disease, not a doctor, but it's a condition that is spread through lice. And when you have a lot of people living in unsanitary conditions, that happens. And without treatment, you think doctors are going in. Irena Sendler is actually going to go in and try to help. That's how she's going to get her start as a nun. She's going to get in there and try to help combat some of the things. Nazis weren't letting a lot of people in to help, but every so often, she was able to go in and try to help people with the medical care they needed and stuff. So that would, because of all the people who were Jewish were condensed into one place, it was easy to know where the Jewish people were. And then she would do her best to try to smuggle children out of the ghetto. Okay, so we will read more about her on Monday. We will read or watch these 2 videos about people standing up to the Nazis when it meant, it could be their life. All right, enough of that for today. Enough of listening to me talk. Watch some videos. Working class. Criers Cross for sure today. It's a good way to end the week. Hopefully people are liking that. I will put up a poll sometime next week. Should we continue reading Criers Cross?